Laura, and today we're going to be talking all about creating a content marketing strategy for your coaching business. And we're also going to be looking at what is actually working now when it comes to content marketing in general. Now, if you're not familiar with what content marketing means, it's basically all of the different content that you create that is designed to help you grow your coaching business. So if you're posting on Instagram, if you're creating content for Facebook, if you're blogging, if you're doing a podcast, videos for YouTube, anything like that, that is all content. It's all the stuff that we create. And actually, a massive part of what it is that we do in our businesses for marketing is creating content. It's all of that stuff. Whenever you are writing something, like writing an Instagram caption, creating a graphic, like all of that stuff is content marketing. And it's really helpful to think about what the strategy is that you're going to use when it comes to content marketing, and actually just understand what the theory is in terms of how it should work. So we know what content is, it's all the stuff that we create, but the ways in which it benefits our coaching business is quite diverse actually, and I just wanted to touch on some of these different ways that it actually works in terms of building a business. One of the biggest ways that it works is it showcases our knowledge and skills and experience. So when we are creating content, and I think generally speaking when we're creating content, it's creating something that is actually helpful for people. So it's going to be educational, inspiring, entertaining. And that's a really good thing to think about when you're creating content. Like, is this actually going to be helpful for the people who are best placed to benefit from my services? Because that's what you want to be creating the content for. However, there's a little caveat there, is that I also feel like part of creating content is about us expressing ourselves as well. So I'm going to come on to that in just a minute. But in terms of the strategic side of it, we are wanting to create content that really showcases that we actually know what the fuck we're talking about, basically. It's that building authority, all that kind of thing, which again feels a bit icky to say that, but essentially what we're doing is we're just demonstrating that we actually know what it is that we're talking about. So that's part of what works in terms of using content marketing to build our coaching businesses. And then other elements of content marketing is around building trust. So again, you can build a lot of trust, and this kind of continues on from the showcasing our skills and experience and knowledge and everything, is that building trust, because people get to see that we know what it is that we're talking about. They get to know us. They get to connect with us as well, depending on what kind of content you're creating. And again, we're going to talk about this in a second. So there's that content that connects element as well. And then we've also got the element which is that content attracts people into our business. So if we create content strategically, at least to a certain degree, this is around attracting new people into your world through the content that you create. So an example of this would be creating a blog post that you've created with the idea that it's going to rank on Google for SEO, because new people are going to find that blog post and find you. And hopefully what we want them to do is to then go on and join your email list, which is another part of this journey that we want our content marketing to take people on. So it's really about attracting people into your business and then connecting with them. That's the authority, the trust, the just getting to know you sharing your personality, and then over to actually be able to sell to them. And I think what we do is we forget that there's actually the attraction piece there, because we do want our content to be attracting new people into our business. So that's like the theory about how we want it to work. And certainly when I think about my content, I do think about attraction, connection and sales. Lots of content will tick multiple boxes, but I do tend to think a bit about that when I plan my content as well. So that's what we're looking at when we think about content marketing. Now, obviously, where we can share this content, there are so many different platforms where we can share it. You know, we have so many different places. We have our blogs, podcasts, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, like so many different places. And part of our content marketing strategy has to be, okay, so where are we actually going to share this stuff? Like, what's the right place to share it? And where can we attract, new people into our business? Where's the best place to do that? So that's part of the strategy as well, is really looking at that. And I'm going to come back onto that in a minute when I look at what's working in terms of content marketing strategy in a sec. So that's part of the strategy as well. And then I think what we've got too is we've got to make sure that we are linking our content in a way that is going to help us build our email list based community, because you can have a brilliant piece of content and someone can consume that content, but if they don't take action to join your list on the end of it, you might have lost that person and they might not come back into your world. Hopefully the content was good enough for them to want to come back, but you might have lost that person. So we want to make sure that we have ways for that person and that we are attracting them onto your list as well. So if they find a piece of content from you in that attraction stage, that we are grabbing them and for want of a better phrase, but that we are, we're offering them something really helpful. Again, another piece of content, essentially, a freebie to get onto your email list. And then once we've got them on your email list, you can serve them more content that is going to help build the know, like, and trust factor with you and all of that jazz. So that's what we want from our content marketing strategy. And what I tend to find is that some coaches do content really well, but miss out on that connection into the email list piece or the sales piece. What we can do is we can just get into the flow of just creating content, but again, miss out the sales and actually getting people onto the email list side of things. And then the content strategy just doesn't really go anywhere. Like, we need to give people a place to go. And I think that's what we want to think about when it comes to our content marketing, essentially. And then another thing just to mention about content marketing as well that I think is quite important is that when it comes to getting clients and getting customers and things like that, content marketing can take a little bit of time and consistency. And I wish it didn't, but unfortunately that's the way it is. So content marketing is going to take a little bit of time and a bit of consistency to really get results in terms of clients. However, I'm a big believer that every business, in all honesty, I was going to say coaching business, but every business, I honestly think, has to have some form of content marketing in their whatever it is that they're doing to market themselves generally, because it's really what is going to give you longevity. Again, I've just spoken there in terms of the benefit of content marketing in terms of showing that you actually know what it is that you're talking about. I was going to say they're positioning yourself as a authority or an expert, but actually it's not about positioning yourself. It's actually just about sharing your expertise and letting people observe that. So I think that's really important. So I think every coaching business should have some form of content marketing going on. Where that kind of falls, and again, I will link to my episode that I did on the Wholehearted Business Roadmap, because I think early on in your business, the tricky thing is finding a balance between putting time into content marketing, because it is something that is going to take up time. Creating content is going to take time. Between creating the content and actually doing some of the things that might get clients faster, the much more direct methods of getting clients, they can get clients quicker. So there's going to be a trade-off. And often when we are starting a coaching business, we are also doing it alongside a full-time job or a part-time job or something else going on in our life as well. So we need to really factor that in when we think about our content. And another thing is we want to create content that we actually enjoy creating, because we're going to have to do it consistently for probably quite a long time. I'm still writing blog posts, I'm still creating content every single week, and I've been doing it for years and years. And to be fair, one of the reasons that I moved niche slightly from, back at the very start of 2020, I gave birth to my daughter. The world went to shit, and I had to make a decision about whether or not I was going to focus on one element of my business or not. At the time, I was still doing health coaching work and the business mentor, and I had to make a decision. And I think part of what helped me make the decision was that I felt much more excited and motivated and passionate about talking about the business side of things than I did about the health side of things. And that might change in the future, and that might signal to me a change in my niche, and that's fine. But I think you're going to be talking about this and creating content about these topics a lot. And this is again why I'm quite a big fan of having a niche that gives you some room to breathe and to be yourself and to actually express yourself. And for a lot of us, creating content is part of our work in the world. Like, our content isn't just content marketing, actually, and I think this is probably a really important thing. So our content isn't just content marketing, it's actually how we show up and help people in the world, as well as our paid services. It's actually a really big part of how we show up and how we connect with people and share the things that we want to share. And I think that's really important as part of content marketing as well, that we have the space to do that, because that's what's going to make it easier to show up consistently. In terms of what's working right now for content marketing, there's a few things that has been quite interesting for me to observe. The first thing is this concept of thought leadership. So there's lots of different definitions of what thought leadership is, but for me, it's around creating content that is really based on your opinions and your thoughts and your ideas, and sharing that with a wider audience with the invitation that they can take that idea, that thought, that opinion and run with it themselves, implement that in their lives and businesses. And I think that's really interesting, sharing those, not necessarily unique, but in your unique way. And a really good way to think about content, particularly around the connection stuff, is to share from a place of experience. I know that when I was a health coach, and a lot of the coaches that I work with in my business now, a lot of my clients, especially in health, because there's this real move to evidence, like to an evidence base. And I think that's really important to have an element of that if that's important to you. But at the same time, you are absolutely allowed to create content and to share from your experience. Your experiences are very valid. Your opinions are really valid. You're not saying, by creating a piece of content, is not you saying, this is the, I am making a definitive statement on this topic. That's not what anyone's saying. We are sharing our unique perspective, and I think that is the best thing that we can do when we're creating content, whether that's attraction, connection, or sales. We want to share our unique perspective. And I think it was Denise Duffield Thomas said, don't be a guru, be a contributor. And it's a quote that's always stuck in my head for quite a long time, because again, we can piles the pressure on the idea that we have to be this like all-known oracle and get everything perfect, but that's not the case. We can contribute towards our chosen topic. Like, I am not the all-seeing oracle of creating a coaching business. I am just one voice in a very large community of people who are talking about this stuff. I am just one voice, but I am my voice, and my voice is just as important as anyone else's, as is yours. So there's a real invitation there to remember that your experiences are valid. Speak from your experiences. That's absolutely fine. Like, if someone was going to come and strike you down, that's fine, but that's your opinion and you can hold that opinion, and opinions can change as well. It's another aspect of it. So I think these things are really interesting to consider when it comes to our content marketing as well. And then other things that are working in terms of the type of content, like I've said this before, but video is quite difficult to escape at the moment, in all honesty. I know for some of us who are more introverted and who dislike the idea of video, it's probably not what you want to hear, but unfortunately, depending on who you are, video is the way to go at the moment. It seems to be a really popular form of content because it's what people like, and that's fine. And I find, as a coach, I think video is really powerful because there's nothing like people getting to see your face and hear your voice and just connect with you on a whole different level. It really does make a difference. So I think that as a coach, video can be really powerful. And I think there's ways that you can dip your toe in with video and get more comfortable with it, and then use that as a basis to expand on. But if you're not super comfortable with video, try a bit of audio. If video feels really scary, just try recording your voice instead and see how that feels. There's ways you can just dip your toe in and experiment with stuff. And then another thing that is working right now in content marketing is having some kind of schedule or creating content on a regular basis. Now, this might freak some people out if you don't have a lot of time, but it doesn't have to be. I think what you've got to do is you've got to look at your situation, and you've got to look at your goals, and you've got to look at what it is that you want to achieve with your business. And I think you've got to sit down and think, okay, what is a realistic way that I can create content for my business? Is it the right thing to be focusing on right now? Like I said, if you're at the start of your business and it's really about getting clients in, then there might be other things that are actually quicker that you can do. But I do feel like at some point, everyone's going to have to be creating some kind of content in the business as part of their marketing. So it's really around thinking, how often do I need to be doing that, and what's going to be the most effective use of it? So it might be that you create something once a month. You could sit down and create a video once a month, and that might be all you can do, but that can be absolutely fine. Or you might create something every 2 weeks. Like, I create a video, an episode of the Wholehearted Business Show every single week, and that works extremely well for what I've got going on right now, which nicely leads me into the next thing that I think is working, and that's having a joined up content marketing strategy. Now, the way that I used to do things, going back a couple of years, was that I would create very separate pieces of content. So I would create separate stuff for Instagram, I would create separate stuff for my blog, which would then go onto Pinterest, I would create separate stuff for Facebook, separate stuff for my email list, and everything was separate. And it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of having to come up with new ideas all of the time, and it was exhausting, in all honesty. And then I started to experiment with a bit of repurposing and a bit of video, and just started to experiment with things here and there. And then, as a lot of you guys will know who are regular listeners to the show, in October last year I launched the Wholehearted Business Show, which takes the whole concept of joined up content marketing and really makes it work. So what I do with the Wholehearted Business Show is I create a video once a week, and then that video is edited and the audio is pulled off. The video goes up to YouTube, the audio becomes a podcast, and then I edit the transcript into a blog post. So that works really well. And what I do is I use the content that I create for the show and repurpose some of that for Instagram. So currently I post 4 times a week on Instagram. Mostly I've been a little bit lax with it because of stuff that I've had going on. And again, this is one of the things with content. When life gets busy, it's often the first thing that drops off. you know, that's okay. Like, we've all got lives. It's one of those things. I think the important thing is just to pick it back up as quickly as we can in a way that feels good. So I tend to post on Instagram 4 times a week. What I have started to hear is that posting more frequently on Instagram is better, because engagement on Instagram is really shit at the moment. I think a lot of people have been saying like Instagram is just crap, but ways that people have been trying to overcome that is they've been posting twice a day. So that's been really interesting. And like, part of me thinks, oh my God, that's far too much that I can possibly create. However, the way that I've got this joined up content marketing strategy in place with the Wholehearted Business Show is that I should be able to create quite a lot of secondary content from the show. So that's something I'm going to experiment and explore and really look at how that works. So in terms of content marketing, just to sum up what we've looked at what content marketing is. We've looked at how it works as an overall strategy. We've looked at how it can work to help you grow your coaching business. And we've looked at some of the things that are working now. So I've talked about things like thought leadership, around expressing yourself and sharing your unique perspective and really sharing from your unique lived experience and your opinions, and how that's absolutely okay. We've talked about video. We've talked about frequency of post and having some kind of regular schedule. I think the consistency doesn't have to mean every day or every week. It can be every month. That's absolutely fine. It's finding what works for you. And we've talked about having a joined up content strategy as well. So I really feel like, I just think our content is the backbone of our businesses in terms of marketing. We want to have our content working for us so that we have a constant flow of new people coming into our businesses. And that's really how it works in mine. And what I love about content marketing, especially when we involve our blogs, that kind of thing into it, is that it means that we can create a piece of content, and then 2 years down the line, that piece of content can still be bringing in new subscribers and new people into your business after years. And I think that's really amazing. Now, what I'm going to be running at the start of May it's actually going to be the whole of May, is I'm going to be running a live round of connecting content. So basically, I'm bringing together a few of my different courses and programs around content, and the live round is designed to help you get a content marketing strategy put together and to implement that in a really practical way. So for example, if you've thought about starting a podcast, if you've thought about starting a YouTube channel, if you want to put together this joined up content strategy in place, if you want to get your shit together around your content marketing, then this could be a really great live round for you. I'm going to pop the link in the description box, so do check that out. It's going to be fantastic. I'm basically bringing together my blog school course, Pinterest magic, and how to create a multi-platform content show. I'm going to bring those 3 programs together, so you'll get access to those 3 programs, and you'll get into the 4-week live round where we really focus on taking big action towards getting your content marketing strategy sorted. And like I said before, your philosophy really around content is make it fun, make it enjoyable, focus on stuff that you want to express, that you want to say. It's around really putting you into it, because I think that's where the magic happens, is when we get ourselves and our personality into the mix and find ways of showing up that feel good as well. So do check that out if it sounds good. But yes, I will see you guys next week. I hope you have a beautiful week, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.